we're looking under my mom's engine bay, a 2.4-liter engine, and this is what the parts are. Find your air box, which is this right here, and follow it. You'll see a wiring harness, which is this right here, and then you'll see a clip that goes into here. This right here is your mass airflow sensor. To remove it, you just pull out on the clip, and then just pull it out, and then you remove it, and then it's held in by one torque screw. Unscrew that, and then your mass airflow sensor can come out, and that's how you replace it. Coming down over by here, you see that down there? That weight down there, that's your serpentine belt. This is what gives you your power. And then right down there is a tensioner. That tensioner is what keeps the belt tight against this. You can see it's hard for me to push down. That's good. That means your tensioner is working. It's an automatic tensioner. Coming over here, you'll see a plus and a minus. This is your negative terminal, and this is your positive terminal of your battery. And here's a battery cover. Coming over here, you see how it says a warning sign.
No.
This is your fuse box. And then coming over here, pop this open. That's your window washer fluid. And then coming over here, you'll see there's a little thing right here. That's your oil dipstick. If this is an automatic transmission, if this is a unsealed transmission, then there'll be a dipstick somewhere, but I can't find one, so I think this is a sealed transmission. Just to make sure, come over here, and you can't find one over there. And then coming over here, you see there's a big gap that leads down to the ground. And then this right here is your exhaust manifold. And then here's your oxygen sensor. This tells the computer how much oxygen. This is before the catalytic converter, which is that right down there. That's the catalytic converter.
Where's it at?
And now right here, you see there's two batteries. The one in the rear of the trunk is the auto stop battery. This is what starts your car when your car is in the auto stop. It's coming in the front, which is this battery right here. This is your main battery. This is what you use to start your car. When you put your key in and you transfer the run position, transfer the start position, and you start the car. The battery in the rear is only for auto stop, and it's a bit smaller. It's very small, actually. And now coming over here, you see this post right here. This is your hood prop. Most cars don't have these. This is a special hood prop because you don't have to just plop it up and then just push the hood up. This does it automatically for you. And coming over here, coming down, following the black cable all the way.
What black cable?
This black cable right here.
Oh.
Coming all the way up to the driver's side strut tower. You can see this black cable, and this connects to here. This is a chassis ground. This grounds your electricity, so that way the ground is tight. And if this wasn't here, then your car wouldn't start because you need chassis ground. And this is a 12-volt battery. The easiest way to test it is to get a multimeter and shove it into the prong right about there. Shove it into that black wire. Then another way then you remove this cover on the positive terminal. You just pop that up.
I don't want to.
Remove the clip out, and then you pop the clip up, and then you'll see the post. And then that's your positive terminal. And coming down, you'll see there's a grill. This grill is your radiator. That radiator cools your engine. And then there should be a radiator. Yep, this right here. This is your radiator hose. This is just a heat shield, and this goes into this is your upper radiator hose. The upper radiator hose sends the coolant back to the radiator. And coming down, if you look under the car, you'll see a lower radiator hose.
Oh.
Actually, here's the lower radiator hose right here. That's the lower radiator hose. There's the protective heat shield, and that's the coolant going to the engine. The upper radiator hose is the coolant going back to the engine. And now there's a coolant reservoir right about here. Do not open this unless your car's at cool temperature. Never open this, because once you open this, coolant is under pressure when it's hot. And if you just don't twist that, it'll be like putting Mentos in a Coke. It'll be like shaking up a Coke bottle and then opening, and then it explodes all over. And now that's the same thing when your coolant is heated up and you remove that cap. So do not remove this cap unless your engine is cold. In this case, it's hot because you could just touch an engine part and it's hot. hot, so never ever remove a radiator cap. So never ever remove a radiator cap or coolant cap like this one, unless your car is at cold temperature. It'll be like shaking up a Coke bottle and then just opening it again. You'll be like the same thing. So don't do it. You'll get burned.
What's this?
That is your brake fluid.
Oh, okay.
This is Takes .3 brake fluid. What the brake fluid is that it actually allows you to brake. Let's just say there's no brake fluid. Let's just say you go onto one of those semi trucks, and then you go look around the engine bay and you don't see a brake reservoir. Let's just say this wasn't here at all costs. Let's just say that was a power steering fluid reservoir. And the reason why is because big semi trucks have air brakes instead. To actually change it. Now those actually have lifetime brakes, so you don't have to replace the brake fluid. Instead, the foot pedal is the brake. The hand pedal is the e-brake. And you can remove any other cap. You can remove any cap on the if the engine's hot, except the coolant cap. Because like I told you before, it would be shaking up a Coke bottle and opening it up and getting Coke all over. So if you ever run into a problem, and then you might be thinking, what's this right here? This allows you to open your hood. Right here.
And then it's everything under the hood?
No, it's not everything under the hood. This right here is your engine. This right here is your coolant. Actually, this is your oil cap. Unscrew that and you can change your oil. So now some mechanics, they don't lift your car. Instead, they use a cyclone. They cyclone all the oil out of here. The problem with that is, so there's all the valves and stuff in here. All the valves. There's a crankshaft. There's an exhaust cam. There's an intake cam, and then there's pistons under here. So when they siphon out all the oil from here, they could potentially damage their hose. And then even so, they could even turn your engine over just a little bit, which will knock you out of alignment a little bit. So then your car in most cases, in a very rare case, your car won't start. So if you go under your car, there'll be a bolt, and on the oil pan there'll be a bolt. That bolt is to remove all oil. And if you have coolant. And if you have a green color coolant, that's the most common coolant. The green coolant is not what my mom takes. My mom actually takes the red coolant. But even so, there's many types of coolant colors out there. The most common is green. And to see what color coolant your car takes, just look at the coolant reservoir. You'll see it's red, and then since it's red, that means my mom takes red coolant. So that's an easy way to find out how your coolant is. Now let's just say that your coolant isn't see-through. Let's just say it isn't see-through. Look somewhere on the radiator or the coolant overflow tank, which is this right here, and look there. You'll see a little sticker, and it'll tell you what coolant your car takes, what color. Or you can look in your owner's manual.
I never read mine before. You read it for me, huh?
Well, maybe you should start reading it, Mommy. Okay, so then this is your strut tower. What your strut tower is what's holding your strut in place. If you look there, you'll see there is a little spring right there. You see under there, there's a spring. It's much easier to access when you remove the entire tire. But there's a spring right there. And then in between there, you'll see there's a shock, and then that's this whole setup. And then take this cover off, unbolt the bolt, and then you can remove your strut if you ever need to replace your strut. And if you ever want to change your oil, make sure that you take it out. It doesn't have to be a cold or hot engine. Just make sure that you just pull it out. and wipe it off. That's the most important part because when you take it out the first time and don't wipe it off, it'll look like it's overfilled. And the reason why is because when your car's running, oil splashes onto the dipstick. So let's just say you put it in, you wipe it off, you put it back in, and you look and it's full. Now the right way to check your oil is to take off the dipstick, wipe it off with a paper towel, put it back in, and then simply take it back out again. And then that's how you read it. And you can see there's a warning right here. This warning says the car takes R134A of refrigerant. And what refrigerant is it allows your car to have AC. And if there wasn't, let's just say you don't have any refrigerant in your car, instead of it being pure air, it'll be pure heat.
We don't want that.
So make sure that you'll see there's a hand in the fan. It's getting, you see there's cut off fingers. That's what will happen if you put your hand right in that fan. There's a fan right over there. There's actually two fans in this car. Now if you're ever looking at this car and wondering what car it is, this is a 2014 Chevy Malibu with a 2.4 liter engine. And now this is Ecotech onto these screws, and then this cover will come off, and then you can see the engine. And this is the heat shield right here. This is your heat shield. And again, and if you're ever wondering why there's belt tensioner and then there's this pulley right here, the reason why is you need your belt to be on here tight. If it isn't on there tight, then it'll either skip a few teeth, which isn't a problem in other brands. But if you're in a Honda, it's not called a serpentine belt. It's called a timing belt. And the reason why is because there's a bunch of other pulleys, but the belt will also wrap around the engine. And the reason why is because Honda doesn't use electronic power from the alternator. Instead, it uses belt power from the serpentine belt. But in that case, it'll be let's just say this was a Honda. If that belt skipped a few teeth, then do you know what happened? Your car won't start because then you won't have correct timing. Because everything needs to happen at the correct time. And let's just say you have an interference engine and it's a Honda. If not anything is aligned, the valves and pistons will hit and you'll ruin your engine.
We don't want that.
Yes. So make the right choice and don't get a Honda.
Oh, okay.
Actually, if you want a cheap car that has many cheap parts, but you have a timing belt that wraps over the valve, the intake, the engine, just make sure that you have a good tension on your belt and make sure it's tight and that is not moving. There could be a little bit of slack in there, but that's a good thing. But that's not really good. That's not really something that you worry about. But let's just say it's really loose, and let's just say it's like moving in and out too much. That you're gonna want to replace your tensioner. Actually, before you replace your tensioner, it might not be an automatic tensioner. It could be a manual tensioner. So you have to get your breaker bar and tension your belt yourself. And if that still doesn't work, then just replace the tensioner. And if you're ever replacing the belt, look in the owner's manual. It'll tell you what the belt routing is and everything. And to actually remove the air box, you get a flathead or a Phillips head screwdriver in here. Then you remove those two screws, and back by here, you'll see there's another screw right there. And then there's a clip, then there's two clips, and then this air box can be removed. Don't forget to unscrew that little hose clamp right there, and just wiggle this off. And if your car has a mass airflow sensor, which is this, connected to the air box, you're gonna want to pull that clip out and pull the mass airflow sensor out. If you're ever wondering what this is your AC line. If it's a bigger fitting, then that is the low pressure line. If it's a smaller fitting, then that's your high pressure line. And if you see this line right here and this line right here, this is your gas line. And this is your evap line. If you have to change fuel lines, take those off and then put them back, and then put the new ones back on. And it looks like that the tensioner for this car takes a 3/4 or 1/2 inch drive. I'm not sure. I should probably check, but put a breaker bar in there so that it's long like that. And then just push that way, and that'll relieve the belt tension, so you can move the belt and then replace your belt or replace any pulley or whatever. Then coming over here, you might be thinking, what's this right here? This is fan, so it allows cooling. Now this is a 4-cylinder engine, and so this is your wiring harness. This isn't any special power or anything. Anything right here, but coming over here, we'll see that this is a big line. This is your AC low pressure line right here. Then if you look somewhere else, you'll see a skinnier line that's also metal, and it has a little purge, and it has a little valve on it. And that's small, and that'll be your AC high pressure line. And so if you're ever wondering why is that there, that is something that is a dead animal. I don't know how that got in there, but just make sure that you clean that up. Make sure that you take that out because anything can catch on fire with a hot engine. So make sure that you clean that. Make sure you clean that thing up. It's definitely dead because of all the heat. Now, since this is your heat shield, and then that's your exhaust right down there, this will get really, really hot. Actually, exhaust can get up to about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. You heard me right, 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is why you never, ever touch your exhaust when your car is hot. If your engine is hot, never, ever touch your exhausts. And the heat shield, of course, are on the inside of the heat shield. So this car hasn't been running for like a few minutes now because we were backing this car out to do this video on how and what everything a car is. I want everything on the car. And now if you look down at your alternate, and if you look down at your belt, actually you probably need a flashlight for that. And then here's another ground for something else. I'm pretty sure this is your ground for your for the battery in the back of the car. Actually, I want to show you what the battery in the back of the car looks like. So if you come over by the trunk over. Now this won't come out. You have to twist this 90 degrees, and this will come out. And you can see there's your battery. This is the out-of-stop battery. It's strapped in by this. And you can see their chassis ground is right over there. And then here's your power wire right here. It's red and green. Do not touch that wire. You'll get electrocuted by 12 volts. And if you want to replace this battery, always remove the negative terminal first. If you go to remove the positive terminal and then you accidentally touch metal, that'll spark because your negative terminal is actually touching metal. If you touch that red, and if you unscrew that red terminal and you touch that to a bare piece of metal, then well, you might be out of luck because you'll short circuit your battery. And now this is your battery cover. You can see how that works. This goes in like this. I turn that 90 degrees, and then this gets caught up, so that just rotates like that, and then that gets hung up in there. And then to put this in, you'll see these little fins right here. There's two little plastic pieces right here that this has to go in. You just line it like that. And just turn it, and then make sure that you try and give it a pull. And now here's your jumper cables. If your car cannot start when your car turning to the start position, use the jumper cables at the front battery. If your car will start perfectly fine, but when you go to push your brake, when you go to auto stop and then your car won't start, remove the cover. Red to the red and black to the black, of course, because that's how you do it. And then you just hook these up to either a 12 volt DC power source ports, for example, like the battery in the engine bay. Or have someone come over to your house and then they could bring your battery there, and then you could just remove the cover and then they'll pop your hood and then you just put the black to the black and red to the negative and red to the red. Right, and whatever you do not jump start your car backwards. So apparently, if you put red to the black and black to the red, apparently the electrics in your apparently the grounds in your car are 5 volts. So if you put 12 volts across that, you'll fry your entire motherboard. And coming over here, you see that? That is your factory amp. You'll fry that too. And even worse, you could probably even fry your battery too, which would cause an explosion.
We don't want to do that.
And coming up here, see that little handle? This is your pull handle if you ever need to go into the